There is a cancer in the gun rights community here in the state of Minnesota, you guys. A cancer has crept into our movement to pass Stand Your Ground, our movement to pass constitutional carry, our movement to stop this gun control that's moving here in Minnesota and hold this legislature accountable. Guys, my name is Doar. I'm the political director for Minnesota Gun Rights. I'm here with my brother Chris, who is our executive director, as you guys know. Guys, today we're talking about a very important topic. The very reason that gun rights has been stalled out here in the state of Minnesota, why our legislature, our pro-gun supposed majorities that we have here in the legislature have felt so at ease killing off all the pro-gun bills. They have felt so at ease basically supporting gun control here in the state of Minnesota, and we're going to tell you why. Because people who should be in our camp, people who should be standing up for these issues and fighting for their membership, are doing just the opposite. Guys, we're talking about the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. We're talking about the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. Their chair is Bryan Strawser, and Rob Doar is their political director. No relation to us.
The spelling's messed up.
Exactly. Guys, those two and their organization exist solely to support their friends here in St. Paul. It exists to give them A ratings at election time. We're talking about anti-gunners. We're talking about battle-hardened anti-gunners who have fought against your gun rights, have been getting...
Have taken votes on the Senate floor. We're talking bill numbers and dates and everything here, folks.
Guys, I can't tell you how important this is. This is the answer to the question that we get dozens of times a week. We get phone calls, we get emails, gun owners call and say, what is the matter with Minnesota? It's like, you know, it's like California. It's like all these other states. We're a Midwest state. Why can't we get any freaking pro-gun bills passed here? Why?
Why do gun owners do so much work at election time and boot out the anti-gun majorities and replace them with so-called pro-gun majorities, and why do we get no action on the gun bills?
Right. And the answer to that question, you guys, is because this organization, the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, has allowed this capital in St. Paul and the legislators who run this place have no respect for gun owners, and they have no respect for gun owners because organizations like the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus have been doing these backroom deals. They have been running interference for this anti-gun legislature, this wolf in sheep's clothing. That's what we've got here in St. Paul, and that's what we're here to expose today, because this is the reason, folks, this is the reason we didn't get Stand Your Ground in 2017. This is the reason after gun owners went to the polls and booted out the anti-gun majority in the Senate, this is the reason the legislature was able to sit back, kick up their heels and go, nah, we don't need to pass any pro-gun bills, because we have the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus who will, by golly, be there to give us the A ratings that we need next election season and to back our plays. This is what we're here to talk about today, guys. We're going to get very specific about what's happening, about what has happened in the past. Guys, I cannot stress the importance of this. Dates are important. Facts are important. Times are important. And we have specific dates and times when this organization has stabbed their membership and gun owners in the back. I tell you, we at Minnesota Gun Rights, we have we have a simple job. You guys trust us to do a few things. One, move pro-gun bills. Two, stop all of the gun control that we're facing here in St. Paul. And three, expose anti-gun legislators at election time in their districts that gun owners can go to the polls and do what gun owners do best. And so,
But his whole point here is that Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, Rob Doar and Bryan Strawser do exactly that. And here's the first date that we're going to lay down for you. April 23 of 2015, State Senator Brandon Peterson forced a vote for Minnesota gun rights on the floor of the Senate on constitutional carry onto a public safety omnibus bill. On that day, State Senator Rod Skoy and State Senator Lyle Coonan from Senate Districts 2 and 17 voted no on constitutional carry. What happened in the 2016 elections? And we've talked about this a couple of times before, so if this is old information for you, please bear with us here. But this is the ratings, the endorsements from Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus right here. I think the camera should be able to focus in on this stuff right here. But you can look it up on the internet if you can't see it right here. These two guys voted against constitutional carry on the floor. What happened in Senate District 2 right here? Rod Skoy voted against constitutional carry, right here. What happened? He got the endorsement by Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, Rob Doar, and Bryan Strawser, Senate District 2. Paul Utke, however, the guy who was challenging him, he filled out our survey 100% and promised to vote for constitutional carry. No, the anti-gunner got the endorsement. Let's look at the next one here. Senate District 17, it's in southwest Minnesota. State Senator Lyle Coonan joined with Ron Latz, Bloomberg's chief militant in the Minnesota Senate here, and Pappas and all these left-wing nuts, and voted against constitutional carry. What happened? Lyle Coonan, State Senator District 17, DFL, endorsed by Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, folks. By their PAC. And so those are the first dates we want to throw down there. These are people who actively voted against the most pro-gun legislation on the floor of the Senate. When gun owners needed them the most, they voted no. They joined with Bloomberg, they joined with Ron Latz, they joined with Jim Carlson and these guys and voted no. That's not pro-gun.
No, I mean, the reason this is so important, you guys, is because if a legislator votes bad on gun bills,
right,
and gets endorsements and gets praise and gets defended by the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, they're going to attack your gun rights every single time.
Every single time.
And that is the reason you do that year after year after year after year. And what do you have? You have an anti-gun legislature who won't pass any pro-gun bills and who attacks your gun rights every opportunity they get.
Because they know if they vote for the gun control or if they vote against your gun rights, that Bryan Strawser and Rob Doar are just going to come out and endorse them anyway because they value their political friendships, their access to these politicians, their slaps on the back, more than they cherish the gun rights of their members and supporters back home.
So we did, talking about these races here, we did what you guys expect a gun rights organization to do.
Yes.
We took your hard-earned dollars that you entrusted to us, we went into those districts, and we bludgeoned those anti-gun senators. You guys, we exposed them with radio all across their districts. We ran hard-hitting direct mail programs to voters in those districts. We went door to door and with teams of volunteers in the pouring rain, and we passed out literature door to door in those districts exposing those anti-gun attacks on your Second Amendments. And what happened? Gun owners, as you know, rose up and booted those anti-gun thugs out of office.
Right.
And you know what happened? The entire time we were doing our job as a gun rights organization, like you trust us to do, the entire time we were exposing those anti-gun legislators, the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, Rob Doar, and Bryan Strawser were on the backside the whole time calling us liars. They were attacking Minnesota gun rights and defending on their personal Facebook pages, fighting tooth and nail to make us look like liars and frauds, to protect their anti-gun friends, Rod Skoy and Lyle Coonan, to protect them in the Senate. You guys, this cannot stand. This cannot stand. We need to expose what's happening here. This is what we're talking about, and this is the reason we've not got any pro-gun bills. This is the reason we're facing this gun control, is because these organizations have allowed the legislature to go soft and to not fight on behalf of gun owners.
One of the common themes that Rob Doar and Bryan Strawser like to level against Minnesota gun rights is that we're skimming the pot, that we're stuffing some of this stuff right in our own pockets. But I'm going to go through some of these ethics disclosure forms that you can go and look up for yourself right on the state campaign finance and public disclosure boards. We're going to jump all the way back to 2014 for our first one here. And this is the report of receipts and expenditures for the political committee or political fund of Minnesota Gun Owners Political Action Committee, their PAC. Okay, so we're in the first page of this thing, and we're getting into some dry and boring details here, but these facts matter. You can see right here on their first page, you can see that they had a total gross receipts of $51,000, 700 and some dollars and some change. And you start going through their disbursements, and you can see some very, very suspicious looking activity. What's a PAC supposed to do? Well, they're supposed to help get pro-gun state senators or state representatives elected, right? And so you would assume that part of that money coming in that $51,000 would be going to pro-gun candidates or their campaign committees. But if you look right here, in the direct contributions to candidate committees, of that $51,000, only $1,500 went direct to contributions to candidate committees. Unbelievable. And an additional $700 only went to approved expenditures for candidate committees. Terrible. A total of $2,200 from that $51,000, $700 and some change went to pro-gun candidates.
Guys, remember, the money that they get here, it comes from gun owners. Gun owners go to work every single day. They work their freaking tails off to bring home that paycheck. They believe in their freedoms. They believe in their Second Amendment rights. And they hear from the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC, hey, give us your hard-earned dollars and we'll support pro-gun legislators. We'll go to bat for gun owners.
Let's take a look, though.
Didn't do it.
Let's take a look, though. Let's see where this money really went, because it also tracks, traces, and registers all of the expenditures, in addition to what goes out to the actual candidate committees. So we're going to talk about a company now called Bright Path LLC. And this is a company that's going to come up frequently throughout the rest of this video. And the owner of Bright Path LLC is Bryan Strawser. That's right, the chairman of the PAC is getting a lot of money sent to him from the PAC as expenditures. And so we're going to go down through here. Remember, they raised $51,000 from gun owners. Here's the first payment made to Bright Path LLC, $2,500 in May of 2014 in fundraising consulting. June 1, $2,500, and now we're up to $5,000 in fundraising consulting. July 21, again. August 30, again. September 8 of 2014, again, $1,351, $1,500 in October. The list goes on and on and on. A total of $13,707 of that $51,000 was actually paid to Bright Path LLC, the owner of which is Bryan Strawser. So the money is coming in from gun owners all across the state of Minnesota. They're sending it into this PAC. They're saying, hey, here's this money, take it, go try to get pro-gun candidates elected to office. Only $2,200 of that $51,000 actually makes it to pro-gun candidates. But $13,700 of that actually goes right to Bright Path LLC, the owner of which is Bryan Strawser.
You know, for a number of years now, the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, their leadership, has been attacking Minnesota gun rights. As we've told you, they tell us we're fundraising and stealing finances. They level all sorts of crazy accusations. And I want to tell you, growing up, my dad always used a phrase. He always told us, he said, if somebody is leveling accusations at you, accusing you of something you know you didn't do, turn around, look at them, because the odds are pretty darn good that accusation they're leveling at you belongs being leveled at them. So they accuse us up one side and down the other as fraudsters, a fake gun rights organization just fundraising for themselves. And the numbers here on their very own disbursements reports are proving that they're raising money and stuffing it in their own pockets, betraying the gun owners who gave them the finances to do this stuff to begin with.
That's exactly right. Of course, that was the 2014 lobby disbursements. You can jump ahead and look at the 2016 lobby disbursements. They're quite similar. A lot of money going to Bright Path LLC, very little amounts of money going to pro-gun candidates, and the pattern seems to just repeat itself. But let's jump forward now to the lobby work that Minnesota Gun Rights does. A lot of times what you'll hear from Rob Doar and Bryan Strawser is that, well, they're the only gun rights group that actually lobbies, that actually uses, the campaign or the contributions and membership dollars that you guys entrust them, and actually go and lobby and try to influence this legislative process. And folks, it's no secret that 2017 was a major lobbying year. We had a pro-gun majority finally in the Senate. And what would you expect a pro-gun organization to do? You would expect them to be spending money to try to influence that legislative process. But All you have to do is, again, look at the lobby disbursement reports right on the campaign ethics website, and you will see that it's simply not the case. Their lobbyist is Rob Doar. You can look right through here, and you will see right here it says expenditures made for lobbying efforts, none. Not one single penny. So the emails they send out saying, contribute to us. We need to be fighting to try to pass stand your ground law. We need to be trying to fight for constitutional care. Every single penny, not one single penny that all of the gun owners that contribute to their organization, not one single penny of that money went to trying to influence the legislative process just last year. And so your natural question must be, well, Minnesota Gun Rights, how much did you guys spend? Because you guys were sending us those exact same requests for money. Yep. Well, you can just look right here, right on the campaign ethics site. You will see that we spent a total of $5,289 trying to influence the legislative process, trying to get stand your ground law. You guys were watching all the videos here that Ben was cutting, trying to get stand your ground law through the Public Safety Committee, through the Rules Committee, trying to push it to the House floor for a vote. What happened? It didn't happen, but Minnesota Gun Rights was pushing tooth and nail. You can see right here, we spent $650 on petition printouts that we asked you guys to sign over and over and over. We delivered those here. Media advertising. Of course, we were in the media trying to get running ads.
Absolutely.
$550. Telephone and communications, postage and distribution. We were doing heavy amounts of mail, all statewide, in targeted districts all across the state.
That's what a gun rights organization is supposed to do.
Yes.
When we raise money, it's supposed to be spent advancing the issues you guys care about. I mean, personally, and I know I speak for Chris, I mean, the money that's given to us by our members, by our supporters, it is a sacred trust.
Absolutely.
We're under no illusion as to
Absolutely.
how hard it is to make a living in this day and age. And so to raise money and chuck it out the window or just line our pockets with it is the biggest betrayal of gun owners that I can sit here and personally think about. And so yeah, we fought tooth and nail in 2017 to move Stand Your Ground law. You guys signed petitions. We delivered upwards of 50,000 petitions for constitutional carry and Stand Your Ground last session. We fought like mad dogs. That's what you expect of a gun rights organization. But the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus and their lobbyist disbursements show that they didn't spend a single dime of the money that gun owners gave them actually fighting for your gun rights. And so now here we are in 2018, we're facing gun control. You know, the window for Stand Your Ground is rapidly closing, and we've got a full-blown defensive fight on our hands.
I'm gonna back up here for just a moment here, because still something wasn't clicking. We had these pro-gun majorities. We had a pro-gun House with a supposedly pro-gun House with a quite a substantial number of majority. I'm sorry, and we had a pro-gun Senate, and so something just wasn't clicking, and we were trying to figure out what the heck is the hidden ingredient here. Why can we not get Stand Your Ground put onto the House floor? We had an assistant leader, State Representative Jim Nash, as the Stand Your Ground sponsor. Of course, he had access to the leadership team under Kurt Daudt and Majority Leader Pepin. And we're like, what in the heck? Yeah. We got calls coming in from all across the state. We've got emails raining down on this place. We've got people here at the State House or at the Capitol building all the time saying, we want Stand Your Ground. Heck, a lot of you folks were there at that committee meeting where they passed Stand Your Ground out of the Public Safety Committee and sent it on to the Rules Committee. We're like, what the heck is going on? These people clearly know that the grassroots gun owners all across this state are demanding this legislation. It's passing in states all around us. 36 states already have Stand Your Ground law, for goodness sake. Something wasn't clicking, and we kept digging and digging and digging, trying to figure out what is the secret element here that we're missing, because we knew we had to be missing something. And we go right back to Bright Path LLC, the company owned by Bryan Strawser. And one of our members actually said, look, I think this is the ingredient that you guys should take a look at, because it might be the key ingredient of why Stand Your Ground is not passing here in Minnesota. And we looked at it, and sure enough, it makes a lot of sense. Right here on Bright Path LLC's website, it says that their director of business development is State Representative Jim Nash. Right there. And so when gun owners like you and gun owners all across the state are bombarding the committee, when you're bombarding leadership saying, pass this stinking bill, pass stand your ground, and the pressure is being brought to bear on top of State Representative Jim Nash, you would expect Bryan Strawser, Rob Doar, and Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus to be pushing equally as hard, pushing on that leadership team, pushing on Jim Nash, saying, you got the full weight of our membership and gun owners all across the state of Minnesota behind you. Push hard, we got your back. Instead, here's the dirty secret. If Bryan Strawser was to push hard on Jim Nash, that would destroy their financial business arrangements that they have outside of the state capitol. So heck no, Bryan Strawser isn't gonna put the pressure on Jim Nash to put that bill through committee, because he's business partners with them. Now, folks, if that doesn't sound like a conflict of interest to you, I don't know what does.
Yeah, guys, I was there in the Rules Committee when they finally passed Stand Your Ground. I could see them gritting their teeth. And Jim Nash is on the Rules Committee. Joyce Pepin, that was the chair of the Rules Committee. She's the House Majority Leader. They were gritting their teeth, furious as they passed this bill. And it was clear that our membership, our members, our supporters were responsible for this bill finally moving out of that committee.
They sure as heck didn't want to move it out of committee.
The Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, silent.
Silent.
Would not push the committee, would not push their business partner, would not go against their own financial interests.
Right there it is, folks. They didn't want to push for the bill because they were worried about their business arrangements and negatively impacting their personal businesses.
And so you see, when you piece it all together, we have a gun rights organization, a fake gun rights organization who's giving A+ ratings to anti-gun DFL legislators who voted to kill constitutional carry in the Senate in 2015.
Yep.
They're fighting tooth and nail to defend those guys, calling us liars. They're raising huge amounts of money from gun owners all across the state who expect them to fight for their interests.
And the money is going right to their own personal companies.
And the money's going right into their own company and their own personal companies, which now we see a state legislator
is a recipient
of. And now, here we are, right in the thick of it in 2017, trying to get Stand Your Ground passed to utilize these pro-gun majorities that gun owners gave St. Paul, and they wouldn't help, and instead they worked backroom deals, they sat down on their thumbs, and they allowed Stand Your Ground to get killed in 2017. If this, guys, if that's an organization that appeals to you, if that sounds like a great deal, then please, I ask that you go and join the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. But at Minnesota Gun Rights, it's appalling, because we know how much goes into running a gun rights organization. We know what our responsibilities are, what gun owners expect from us, because we get hundreds and hundreds of phone calls and emails throughout the course of the year.
Yep.
Demanding that we do this, that we do that we fight for gun owners, and that we don't give an inch. That's what Minnesota Gun Rights is about. Not backroom deals, not padding our pockets, not making friendships with anti-gun legislators and stabbing gun owners in the back. This is what the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus has done. They have run interference for this legislature, protecting them as they killed off the pro-gun bills and protecting them now as gun control is starting to move here in Minnesota. And guys, we knew that you needed to know the facts. You needed to be brought up to speed so you could make the educated choice on who you want fighting for your gun rights here in Minnesota.
That's pretty much all we have to say on this, folks. We're asking you also, these are not frivolous matters. These things have long-term consequences. We're making the case right here that because pro-gun forces in the legislature here put up such a weak show where they didn't pass any single gun bills. It has only emboldened Moms Demand Action, the Lion Mommies, Protect Minnesota, the Brady campaign, Michael Bloomberg. These people now smell blood in the water because they know there is not a single legislator inside this legislature that has the spine to stand there and say, this needs to happen on behalf of gun owners. And so by doing this, by these other outs, by Bryan Strawser and Rob Doar and Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, with these guys running interference for these legislators who are do-nothing, know-nothing, spineless, quizzling legislators, it has only emboldened Michael Bloomberg to spend big amounts of money in the coming session, in the coming election season. The cowering dog gets kicked every single time. These people here have long since cowered. They've got their groups like Bryan Strawser, Rob Doar, and Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus running interference for them, and we now face a serious problem. So folks, we thought this was important information that you guys needed to know. We know that this stuff circulates around. We're asking you guys to share this video on your own Facebook pages, forward this email to your friends. However you are seeing this video right now, please take action, spread this message around.
Yeah, I mean, guys, again, we can't mention enough how important this is and how all of these factors have worked together to create the scenario that we're in right now. If you don't hold the line, if you don't fight these anti-gun legislators, if you don't hold them accountable at election time, they will attack your Second Amendment freedoms again and again and again and again. And that's exactly what we are seeing. Until they are successful.
Yes.
Until our Minnesota becomes like California, becomes like Colorado and Massachusetts and Oregon and all of these states where the legislature finally just fell flat on their face and said, pass the gun control. We're going to get protected from these organizations. You know, we're going to be protected at election time, and nobody's fighting back. Well, Minnesota Gun Rights is fighting back. We're going to fight tooth and nail for gun owners across this state, come what may. And we had to make sure you knew the truth about the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, about Bryan Strawser, about Rob Doar, because gun owners deserve better. Gun owners deserve real representation in this Capitol building where we're standing right now. We need people who are willing to stand tall, stand proud, and not give an inch. And that is exactly what we are here to do. So guys, I want to ask you, if you're not a member of Minnesota Gun Rights, join MGR today. We need you on our side. We're seeing this gun control wave is coming at us now, thanks in no small part to these organizations and to these fake, pro-gun legislators who are letting down gun owners all across the state. We've had multiple anti-gun rallies here fighting against your gun rights. I need you on our side. We need you to join Minnesota Gun Rights, and you can know that we'll never back down, we'll never barter a deal, we'll never sell you guys out, we'll always fight and never give an inch when it comes to fighting for your Second Amendment freedom. So join Minnesota Gun Rights, share this video all across the state of Minnesota so gun owners know the truth, and we're going to get back to work here, stopping this gun control, moving stand your ground law, and holding this legislature accountable for every action or lack of action when it comes to the Second Amendment.
That's all we got, Nick, guys. Again, share this video, forward this email. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll keep you up to date as it goes on from here.